meta is no longer in existence. But NSS with a lot of Object 140s, hell of a lot. Definitely one of the more one-dimensional lineups we see, and of course the 140 just being probably the best all-round tank. The teams can't use any of the clan wars or any of the special tanks, so that's why you'll be seeing them picked up instead of, for instance, the T22 or the VK7. But let's see how it works out. They just need to make sure they don't get pounced upon by these TVPs who are going aggressive at the start.
No surprises there in the aggression department, but it is going to be, of course, EL Gaming on the attack, NSS on the defense, just to keep yourself in mind in this one. Those two gaps available in the first couple of blows being traded back and forth, and a good little connection then towards Des. And you can see the shots coming through, and a lovely bit of aggression between both sides, really going for those opening brawls. Yeah,
the thing is NSS just needs to slow this down a little bit, get some good DPM across onto those TVPs. Once they unload, they won't be too useful, and the Object 140s are starting to punish.
Yeah, and a bit of an awkward trade-out coming in. EL Gaming starting to dwindle in numbers, and Gun in the Game theory will come through. But there you go, at least going to bring a couple back here and not allow it to slip too far away. Black's been pinned down and taken out. A pretty comfy pickup in the end, and NSS keeping themselves pretty well-footed in this. Again, the aggression came from EL Gaming, putting themselves into bad predicaments here, and one by one being absolutely stripped apart.
The Object 140 is just hulled down in really good positions behind the houses, behind the bushes. They can just keep EL Gaming at bay. They can't go forwards. EL probably a little bit aggressive in some of those situations. For instance, the 113 just trying to get over towards the middle area, trying to get a flank onto the Object 140s. Unnecessary. They maybe should have focused some time on trying to take down that house, and they could have found those 140s as long as they kept that bat chat alive on the right side. But yeah, I mean, EL, true to their name.
I missed it, mate.
I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like we've kind of finished the Grand Finals 2015 yesterday, and the Grand Finals 2016 today has started because they got exactly the same playstyle. Or at least in the first round. I don't think we can read too much.
I'm hoping that's nerves. I'm hoping that's a little bit, okay, we're just getting warmed up to the big stage here, because that's not a performance you can bring to this level. You've got to come here with your A game. This is the Grand Finals. This isn't just, you know, another event for them to go to and just grind out the wins. You're against the best of the best. The guys against them, NSS, are no slouches. They're going to come in with everything, and they didn't have to do a damn thing, if I'm honest. They set up pretty default. They probably didn't even get to maybe where they wanted in the end, or keep in mind the full plan, but overall, what was EL Gaming's plan here, if you can even see one?
Well, they just wanted to push him with the TVPs, but they got Fox in the background, which is a little bit weird. I mean, surely you have two TVPs, because one is never going to be able to take down the Object 140s when the rest of his team is pushing in, trying to get side shots on. They didn't really focus themselves too much. I mean, the better idea would have just been to push into those Object 140s with all the TVPs and just try and get the overmatch, because at the end of the day, if you don't get an early advantage, which is where they're starting to lack now with the TVPs, you're going to end up losing against the Object 140s in this position. You can see the RE25 of Nuki starting to get into the game. Black pushing forwards from EL Gaming, gets caught out here. And Newman now coming on reload with that bat shot. That's really where it starts to go from bad to worse for EL.
Yeah, and it was... Look at the time at this point. You know, at this point it was still like, okay, well, it was pretty close, but add another 20 seconds and you've already got the first round on the board. It's basically first to 5 is the best way to put it, but again, really nice start for NSS, not having to work too hard. Their turn for the attack will come through pretty soon, but again, they haven't well, they're not going to get much of a chance to warm up either. They're to be sat there like, well, I guess that was the first round. Cool, that's under our belt. But they could get complacent. There has to be something here for EL Gaming, because if this is all they do, and this is the same dimensional play, or one-dimensional play they had in the previous Grand Finals, I feel this could be a very quick game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the death was a little bit harsh saying 5-0. I think 5-2 from Raven. 5-2 from Raven might be a little bit more, I don't know, for reflective, but I mean, it's too early to say. EL did a show match. No, not show match, that's the wrong word. Did a boot camp in China. So they had a chance to play together before they entered the offlines, obviously taking a lot more seriously this time round, and maybe even just gunning for one of those top spots again. Very successful last year. I think, as I said, they need to kind of slow it down a little bit, play a bit more logically in some of these rounds, and that definitely wasn't a good reflection of that in the first round.
No, sometimes you can't just throw it at a wall and hope that it sticks. It does need more than that, especially against NSS, a team that I guess it's strange, isn't it? If you look at it from maybe, if you're not so familiar with World of Tanks specifically, because I know there's a lot of new viewers watching this, and you're looking like, well, who's NSS? Because I see people like Na'Vi here, I see these bigger names that maybe click in mind, or Hellraisers, for example. But NSS, they're just not even a step behind. They're on par with these guys. So if you're thinking maybe that was just a bit of a one-off, I wouldn't keep that in mind, because these guys are looking towards those kind of like at minimum top 5 spots, NSS, you would assume as such, unless we have another upset from a team like EL Gaming, who have the perfect opportunity to do so. However, after that beginning, the first round didn't look so great. Now let's kind of flip the switch and say coming into the second half here, once that does get underway and we stop looking at beautiful flags, we could actually start considering what we're going to have coming through, because it will be NSS on the attack. So their turn to maybe, if you want to look at it that way, be a little more aggressive. What would you keep in mind coming into this? Because they've not really had much time to think through that first little bit of a round there.
I think I would keep in mind that you know, when you're on the defensive side, you can definitely play a little bit slower. I think NSS just, they predicted correctly that EL Game would go aggressive on that right side. I'm looking to see if that's going to happen again, if NSS has thought, okay, well, EL only has this option and this option, and that first option is the most obvious. NSS going for a pretty standard start here. They've gone for the artillery, and Nuki playing the Lorraine 15551, the first featured artillery piece so far, at least on the main stage. And he's heading towards that left side. Very fast French tank. To me, that says immediately, I mean, NSS just want to get control of this line, move Nuki up a little bit further once they have that, and then start to wear down EL Gaming.
And EL Gaming this time, as they are on the defending side up in the north here, keeping control of those 2 capture points, will have a more defensive posture. Will have that just naturally gifted over to them. So Levante going to be peering over, trying to get a couple of shots through, see if you can get some blind connections. None found just yet, but not too far away. There are opponents waiting and a couple of spots being played here. And Nuki might have a chance to do some damage pretty darn soon. Yeah,
Lorraine very quick at actually aiming down. Might not look very quick, but it is pretty quick for an artillery piece. He'll just keep this tank spotted. It actually goes unspotted as the 113 just going over that hill slightly, but Nuki just going to go for the prediction shot. And if not, he's going to go back to where he was aiming before, which is the 113 in the bush. And of course, you know, Reflection actually side on, a lot easier to hit that RU-251 on the broadside. And again, I think NSS and EL Gaming in some respects, they know where each other are. Levante's being spotted, the 113's been spotted of EL Gaming, and NSS are kind of saying to themselves, are we going to push forwards? Are we going to wait, bide our time until Nuki maybe hits something?
And Levante's kind of almost putting himself out there as the lighthouse. He's the beacon. He's trying to find spots here. He's trying to look for options and allow Nuki to get these shots through. You're starting to see some fire coming in, and actually a good connection then. Reflection going to have to try and maybe adjust here, be a little cautious on this one, as already that spot is being checked. And Levante, again, doing a great job overall, keeping good check on that 113. He's having a good impact so far, but again, a very slow beginning for NSS. They're in no hurry. They're doing good damage to begin with, and that's all they really need to be focused on doing.
Yeah, they just need to be blind shotting that bush as much as possible. You can see Nuki just aiming down. Damage going towards Levante, I believe. And Nuki maybe just going for a one spot that gets the shot out. Nothing connected so far. And yeah, I mean, NSS has to take down Reflection. We've seen before other teams don't take down that RU-251. It charges straight up towards that 1-2 line. The TVP, the FE-215B in the background just get absolutely annihilated. But once it does go down, the TVP and the FE-215B positions are very weak. You get spotted pretty early on. There's no cover. There's nothing. And Beowulf actually takes a pretty big chunk of damage.
Yeah, they are trying to slowly edge their way further north, but not by much. Again, it's Beowulf right at the front here, just taking it face on. Already 1.2k damage being gifted towards him, looking for more options, maybe trying to set up Nuki here, but again, he's going to have the chance of this, but he's going to be pinned down. This is probably a kill if I've ever seen one coming through. That tank is in a bit of a trouble, going to get himself out back and rolling, but for how long here? This is looking a bit brutal at this point, and again, Reflection sitting so calm, but has to be careful pretty darn soon, because NSS are en route.
Yeah, Beowulf actually bouncing a lot. He's hull down in his position, but he will finally go down to black. And yeah, I mean, this is stupid. I mean, NSS must be getting spotted by their RE-251. Where do they think they're getting spotted from? They haven't blind shotted this bush that much. Nuki hasn't even shot it, and the rest of them are charging forwards now.
Well, the whole plan's been just pretty much given over to them. Sure, they're going to spot him pretty darn soon, but there you go, finally lights up, but look at the damage already coming in. Quickly swept aside by the STB, but still, this is a little hap-handed from NSS. Look at the HP disparity. Already 7k left on NSS. They need to take these fights. You said this back line here from EL Gaming can be a little bit flimsy in comparison, and we're going to see that coming through. Already Guan Ren is looking a bit, well, worse for wear, let's say, as finally Shadow does take him down, puts him out of his misery, and you can see NSS building a chance to get back into this as Fox is on the run.
And the 140, though, from Levante really has to survive as long as possible against Newman.
Oh,
Nuki's now basically out the game. He might even have one shell to make here.
This could be sick by Newman. He needs to land the next one, take Levante out of this, keep them with a chance of keeping this close, and he does do just that. Now, EL Gaming keeping a little bit of the HP in their pocket, but the battle is certainly not done yet. They're starting to try and get themselves back together here. Again, Nuki so far away, but you still got to think there's some possibility with NSS. And already looking for more options here. 5 more seconds till he can make that shot on that Nuki. He's just waiting desperately to do this. You can see the rest of NSS trying to keep them spotted, trying to keep their options here, and Nice is just going to go for a mad play, and just gets picked up so easily. EL Gaming playing right into the hands of NSS. This is getting needlessly close now.
And Nuki really doing some good damage in the background, hitting some shells. A 400 damage shell just landing onto Black. He needs to be wearing down those heavier tanks. A couple of kills though going back to EL Gaming at this late stage.
And how are NSS getting sloppy now? This is unbelievable. Evil Granny's down absolutely nothing. He's been decimated. Fox stayed alive, and now you're down to Nuki and Shotnik. Bearing in mind, Nuki has limited HP here. He's on 390. That's all he's got to work with. This would take a miracle play. The damage is being done, but Shotnik so low should be picked up here. It's pretty much a 3v1 at this point, and now it is exactly a 3v1.
Yeah, good play there by EL Gaming to get back into this game. I mean, it was a game of overconfidence from both teams. NSS obviously individually superior to EL Gaming, I think, and you know, they managed to fight their way back into the game, but then they went aggressive with the Object 140s, the SDBs, got caught out, maybe thought that the 113s would be less effective than they were, and EL Gaming just got it done and dusted. But the fact that NSS did stay in the game for so long, despite having, you know, lost a 113 for nothing, was pretty good.
Again, I think the individual skill from NSS was there, but again, EL Gaming not to be looked over here, not to be considered anything other than a real contender in this, actually stepping up. Again, showing that they do have maybe some more passive nature to them, playing it well. But you said it yourself, a couple of mistakes coming out from NSS, gifted a chance that EL Gaming definitely took in that one.
I mean, it was a strange round. I mean, Nuki, okay, that was pretty early aggression for NSS. They had like 6 minutes to play around with. They didn't use any of it. Like, they just pushed the 113 forwards, even though it was spotted, Beowulf going forwards. Nuki hadn't blind shotted that much. I mean, let's be honest, if you can't kill an RU-251 that is side on to you, you haven't blind shotted a bush enough. And Reflection was moving forwards and backwards as team captain. Doesn't make a big difference. And I think NSS should just use their time a little bit more effectively, efficiently, and they would have at least controlled that 1-2 line for a little bit longer.
It felt like they started to do that at the beginning, as you said, with Nuki just kind of like having a little overlook. You had Levanta kind of baiting up and over, getting some spots in. But then, as you said, it seemed to hit a point. They'd had enough of that and thought, well, we'll try and just take a quick fight. We can probably do just fine there. But got punished thoroughly by EO Gaming. And there we have it, 1-1 in the first map. Not a score that I expected to see, but again, you can't underestimate EL Gaming. If they're given a chance in this, you can assume they're going to take it. So again, map 2, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be Mines coming up pretty soon. But bringing it back to this first one, if you're NSS, surely you have to pull up your bootstraps at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've just been reminded that they are mortal, and you can see Black had such a fantastic round. I think, you know, that later stage of the game, he was the one who was really doing the damage, and Newman also fantastic work with that bat chat, just playing around with Levanta, toying with him basically. And yeah, I mean, Prohorovka, I would say it's more of a 2-0 map. We see some bias towards his defensive side, like 5-6%, but generally it's pretty balanced, this one. And yeah, okay, it's not reflected down there from Reflection, but he was very important in this match, probably doing about 2.5k spotting damage for his team. But it's going to be Ghost Town next.
It's Ghost Town?
Yeah, Ghost Town. At the moment, Na'Vi and Golbass are playing. Na'Vi's actually 1-0 ahead on Ghost Town. They play Mines next.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but Ghost Town, another brawly map.
Yeah, these two teams are going to happily take that one, let's be honest. They're both relatively aggressive to some degree. You'd argue EL Gaming noticed as one of the more aggressive teams overall. But again, NSS, you can see that maybe a little too aggressive, a little bit too quick on the trigger then to try and get into the fight, and maybe just trying to get this one closed out as fast as they could. But it has left the score at 1-1 here in the grand finals. And just curious to see if, or how much is going to affect NSS going forward. How much is that one little bit of a bump in the road in what their mindset would be of going to that next stage, keeping their way through towards, you know, the finals probably in their mind. How much does that change now, their gameplay coming into the next map?
I don't know. I think it's definitely made them mortal. I mean, they need to be focusing on their gameplay. They went a little bit aggressive there. They thought they would outplay individually EL Gaming. I think EL Gaming looked like they shored up their individual skills. They won that actually in like 2 or 3 firefights. It wasn't just a brawl there for EL Gaming. You had Newman playing on the side. You had Black up there with a 113. There's different pockets of skill there from EL Gaming, and it's not something they had at the last Grand Finals. EL Gaming won when they're all together and charging through the middle of Cliff or Prohorovka or whatever kind of T54 oriented map they were playing on. But we are ready to get into the next one. It's going to be Ghost Town. At the moment, it's all even, one apiece.
1-1, Ollie. It's not looking too shabby at this point, and I was about to say relatively similar lineups, but again, you can see the differences coming through. It'll be NSS on the defending side, starting off towards the kind of, I guess, northwestern point in blue. In the south, it'll be EL Gaming on the attack, and last time this happened, they went almost over-aggressive, over-committed. And let's see if they fall for that sort of mistake again.
Well, they are going aggressive here, and Shadow's got the perfect angle on, and also the artillery piece, though, could get that damage back in towards his team. Does hit the shell, not a high roll, but it's enough.
Yeah, a good little bit of a reminder that there is damage available here, and I actually quite like the idea of a bit of artillery on this. We'll have to see if it comes through well enough towards the end of this one. Again, a quick start towards the cap, towards the north. But again, it's more to draw NSS in towards it and allow EL Gaming the chance to maybe get some more favorable trades, get some damage in earlier, not just have to weather the storm here.
The interesting thing about the artillery is the fact that, okay, so they're protecting with a double batchat, but actually those batchats don't have to worry about the artillery at all, because there's nothing really that NSS can use to go and flank onto it and take it down. So the artillery can basically be alive for the whole of this match. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the last tank that gets killed. NSS playing obviously in the city, you can see they're pushing into the city more. They know that artillery is pretty effective more in the defense than the attack on this map. Because of those straight lines, you just need to pick a good position where you can shoot straight down the middle of a road, and you do pretty well here. NSS holding that northern cap, having quite a few angles to play around with, making sure they can't get hit by artillery. That's the name of the game for them.
Black going to be the man in control of this pretty much, just trying to keep themselves as well preserved as possible. A little bit of an adjustment coming through from the artillery piece in the hands of Fox. But again, Black's just doing what he needs to do. This is it. As long as he can keep doing this for as long as he is, brilliant. It means that NSS have to play into their hands. And so far, EL Gaming have got some connections. Beowulf going to take another shell then. Good work from Black, but it has to be careful to never to overextend. Your flanks get left open. There's so many issues with this strategy we've seen throughout the online season that can mean it falls apart. But again, a couple of connections coming out. Evil Granny being worked down quite well at the moment.
He's getting taken down. I'm a little bit surprised that NSS aren't playing more aggressively with the double batchat. And with the amount of HP they had, at least at the start of this game, they could have just pushed into Black and taken him down. A bit of pressure from those TVPs to keep the FET-15Bs at bay. Maybe a Conqueror flank in there. But yeah, they're pretty happy to sit back. They know that Black realistically can't cap. But they are being worked down. You can see, I mean, with such a heavy lineup, they are pretty much even in terms of hit points, these two teams. EL starting to rotate a little bit with the batchats around the south there. They are starting to head towards up, trying to find an angle onto Levanta, it seems.
And they can be quite the assassin tank in some degrees. They can do a great deal of damage, but you don't want them for those sustained fights. They're not exactly going to thrive in those, but if they can find the right angle, to find the right placement, they can do a lot of work. So keep your eyes on them. They'll be working their way around, trying to find these flanks. But again, that cap's still building, and Levanta has been caught a touch here. But you can see the Batchat taking a little bit back. That'd be nice receiving one shell. So a bit of a trade through. And again, EL Gaming slowly unraveling the puzzle that's NSS, but it's taking a lot of time now. They're down to 6 minutes and 30 seconds. Enough to still work with, but it's starting to get to that line where they need to keep in mind the time.
The problem with this artillery piece right now for EL Gaming, I think they'll be like, well, we should have probably picked an M40, because they're getting like one shot every couple of minutes. Yeah, the Batchat's starting to come in, but Guan Ren actually caught in between a rock and a hard place. Levanta will have him for breakfast. Yeah,
this is going to be an absolute mashing. Guan Ren can't escape, really. He's got players left, right, and center. The Conqueror's just around the corner, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, you go. He's going to get swept aside. Levanta going to pick that one up for himself. So, a good advantage brought back in the end, and maybe a bit of mispositioning, a little bit of careless placement, going to cost them a player into this map.
See, one lapse of concentration, you don't consider where NSS are, and you can see the difference between these two teams. You can see how a team at this level will just punish you for that. The artillery also being brought down to a one-shot. You can even get rammed to death with that lighter tank there. And NSS, they know they can smell the blood. They know they want to push forward. They know they have the advantage, and they know they split EL Gaming right down the middle.
And that's the sign of a great team, knowing you have the upper hand and working with it rather than just resting on your laurels and not making the most of it. He's going to get a little bit of a trade through here. Newman here with flag. Actually going to be some good damage dealt, but at the end of the day, you can see the disparity already starting to build. EL Gaming starting to suffer, and Newman starting to get the hands of it, and look at that damage coming through. That FB is being ripped to shreds. Flag can do nothing but watch as his teammates getting absolutely pummeled, and now Levanta wants in on the action, and that's certainly the man you do not want coming around. Shadow going to be fancying a bit of it as well, as this is looking like a bloodbath, Ollie, and those pieces are going to be flying here. Reflection's going to get one back, but still, The caps, so irrelevant now. It's all gone to pretty much ruins at this point, and look at it. The hunting squad going to come through. Nice does a bit of work back. But again, the HP so low, a couple of good, well-placed shells should close this one down.
Yeah, EL Gaming playing pretty well individually. It's kept them in this game a little bit longer, but NSS just picking EL Gaming apart by the bones. Very convincing round here from them. EL, you know, getting themselves into some awkward positions. The Waffentrager Reflection should never be in this position. Even your Waffentrager, the size of a small apartment building. You don't want to be in the middle of nowhere, which obviously is the side of the ghost town. And look, predicted. Fox, the last one remaining in the artillery piece, trying to scamper away. I wouldn't be surprised he's actually the highest damage dealer for EL. He at least connected, I think, like 2 or 3 we saw, so
yeah,
maybe 1.5, 2K, I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, I mean, NSS just a step ahead, and they knew exactly what to do. And you know, if you get caught out by slower tanks when you're in the faster tank, you're doing it wrong, to be honest.
There was the bad chats. We started to consider maybe that was a really nice play if they could do some damage towards Levanta. That was, you know, a nice option maybe to keep this game looking more interesting. But then down the line, it started to look like, oh, okay, well, they're out of position. Suddenly they've been flanked, and as soon as you said, you give NSS an upper hand in any sort of variety, they're going to go and run with that. They see a chance, they're going to take it. Why not? As previously on Prohorovka, they didn't get given that chance to the same degree. So nice to see them making the most of it. And this is merely just trying to find the Fox hiding in the hole, as it is a matter of time. 66 HP, as you said, is enough to be rammed at this point, and Shadow's going looking. Otherwise, we've got a 3-minute time to chill out with.
Yeah, I mean, that Lorraine 1551 is a good piece of kit, but it's not going to be able to deal with the 5 remaining for NSS, and Shadow's going to be the first one to find him. Yes, he does actually offers his backside to him, but Fox not really in a great position. Shadow's going to take him down, and it's going to be NSS to nudge themselves ahead in this match.
Good stuff from NSS in the end, showing that maybe a little bit higher caliber on this map than what EL Gaming were expecting. That artillery never really saw the biggest impression, it may be to what Fox would have wanted then. And again, bad positioning coming through, a couple of pieces being in the wrong place for EL Gaming, and NSS going to make the most of that.
Yeah, very nice stuff from them. You know, they were starting to get worn down by the Lorraine. Some good exchanges by EL Gaming. They were ahead in that game. But I think, you know, the batch had been caught out. You said it. Game over. Guanren just got absolutely trounced. I would have said that there's probably a good chance that NSS would have won that game anyway, because they had the heavier lineup. Those batchettes would have been pretty ineffective at some point if they didn't do, you know, all their shells, and even if they did, the kind of meaty firepower that NSS brought to that match would have maybe mitigated that enough for them to win anyway.
So, Ollie, for those at home who maybe don't watch, you know, the weekly shows or on the WGL or the RU stream, you know, for attack and defense on this map, because, you know, you can see it, Ghost Town is very symmetrical in look. How much of a bias is there towards attack and defense if you think that maybe, well, they only got that side because of their being on the defense or the attack? Is there much bias to it, or is this one of the ones where you can do just as well on either side?
It's a pretty even map in most sense, because it's a symmetrical one. Like, it's a little bit of variation in the regions, but in general we see a pretty strong trend, pretty even. But it can change. You know, the thing is, we can look at the biases of maps. You know, for instance, Gruenberg very on the defensive side, Himmelsdorf more attacking orientated, you know, being the most balanced actually. Cliff, you know, we've seen at the beginning of the season it was more attack, and then the end it was more defense, actually the other way around. But it's been a month since the WGRU finished, and for the APAC it was 1 week before then they finished, for EU it was 1 week before then, and NA was before APAC, and then it was EU. So it's been a while. It's been a while, and we've obviously had the biggest patch for a long time since 8.0 and World of Tanks since then, so a lot of things have changed. But yeah, it's a pretty balanced map.
And that, to me, just indicates maybe this is probably a better played map for NSS overall. You think of them having to operate at the highest tier level consistently against what you'd argue is one of the more competitive regions. I think that's a fair statement here. It means that really for EL Gaming, this has to be a big moment for them. They don't want to start going towards those bigger score lines against them. It's currently 2-1 to NSS. Of course, hailing from that CIS region, and EL Gaming going from the APAC side of things. But here we go. We're going to be back into this one. EL Gaming this time on the defending side, and on the attack, NSS.
NSS now have to use their aggression. I think that the rounds they've won have been the slightly slower versions. You know, they on that first Prohorovka defense, they just let EL Gaming come towards them. Then they went aggressive, they lost. And then they didn't go that aggressive, they just found a nice entry hole into EL Gaming. So I'm looking to see as NSS are going to provide that unusual aggression we do like to see from them in these matches.
Yeah, and NSS going for a drastically different approach. drastically different lineup as well, and just generally taking a different stance, which is always nice to see the variation that can be built. Why it's such a symmetrical map and so similar from start to finish that these teams can find these differences and already looking to be able for it, just to try and find maybe these opening shots and get some spots on Nuki already. Gonna catch a glimpse of one, so looking for maybe a possibility here, holding his nerve and good trigger discipline at this point to not give anything away, just take his time, maybe get the lay of the land at this point.
Yeah, so a pretty standard tactic here, looks like, for an NSS. Ooh, big shot there coming out from Shadows, actually, just landing straight in. Another big one coming out, so much damage.
Absolutely sick. Nothing going to come back towards him at this point. He now has going to be a little bit more careful here as he's been reminded of maybe, you know, not overstepping his mark, but Black's looking worse for wear here. Down to 935 HP, does get a shot back towards in the end, and Shadow's going to be reminded of keeping himself cool and calm, not overstepping. There were lovely shots back to back though, but again, Black's going to be doing just as well. He had a big performance in Prohorovka. Hopefully he can find a bit of that now, because his team will certainly need it. The gap has been begun in the northern side, and you're going to see the response now from EL Gaming.
Yeah, very standard tactic for an NSS. They have the IS-7 hull down in the cap, the Waffentrag in the background to provide support for it, and it actually has the 750 gun instead of the 590 you normally see. So it's got a longer reload there. So Fox, Guanren trying to find their way in. NSX again with the heavier lineup. But I like this. It's a wave. It's a red wave of EL Gaming just pushing in towards the map, trying to find a nice angle onto NSS. And, you know, I love those autoloaders in that situation.
Well, it depends about timing here for me. That wave could certainly break upon the shore pretty soon, and that shore being NSS if they're not careful. They're going to find Shotnik, and actually had a chance to catch him out, but he manages to get one on the run. But suddenly, you see the exchange coming out favorably towards EL Gaming at the start there. But HP, as you said, mildly favored towards NSS at this point, but the brawl's going to begin. And Newman and Nice can be on the forefront of this. A couple more shells to be made, but again, damage going to come back. Shotnik's returned with friends this time, and already the kills signed to mount up for NSS. The damage becoming severe for EL Gaming. Fox, Guanren, Flag and Black looking worse for wear, being beaten black and blue. And now the cap is the last thing on their mind as they're being picked to pieces again. NSS holding the line. The tides have turned, Ollie, and that red wave is going back out to sea. I
mean, at the end of the day, NSS just saw EL Gaming coming towards them, and NSS were like, yeah, brilliant. Like, we got the heavier lineups, so just going to charge straight through you. No problem at all. It's a spear through, I don't know, toast. It's not a great example.
Analogy.
To be fair, I mean, you can imagine a spear going through toast.
I can.
It's a pretty easy wall to hit.
You're not wrong. It's just a bit different.
Yeah, I could have gone for better ones.
Yeah, we'll give you some time to think about some new ones.
My mum calls me special, all right?
We all do. Don't you worry. And Guanren is now your last man standing. Going to be left to consider what just happened then. And Evil Granny on the hunt, on the prowl, as Evil Grannies do. Looking for this last one, and the cap's gonna be coming on the way. You know, it's all but done here, and Guanren knows that. Sadly for him, that bad chat is gonna be left. It's pretty much scrap metal here, and he can try and do what he can, but he knows this one is all but over. He's putting up a valiant fight, but now the teammates have arrived, and time has run out.
Yeah, U251 will be able to finish it off, and it's gonna be 2-0 on Ghost Town, bringing the overall score 3-1 towards the NSS, and to be honest, convincing rounds from them. I mean, the lineups, I mean, maybe the Asia Pacific region, we do see like more lighter lineups from them, but it just didn't work. NSS had the heavy tanks. They had a good tactic at the beginning with the IS-7 in towards the cap, sit it hull down. Waffentrag in the background with a big 750 instead of the 560, just nailing Black in the 113. Good start, good early damage. Batchats of EL started to push forwards instead of, you know, what most teams would have picked, like a Conqueror or an FE215B, and then just found an immovable object. That was NSS.
NSS, you know, this was the question we had earlier on, I guess, was the fact that while we saw the first map and it was actually pretty close, maybe surprisingly close for what you'd expect of the, you know, looked at these two on paper. However, the question being then, how would you see a response coming out from NSS? And I think we've just seen it, a dominating performance coming in on map 2 here. And these shots were lovely from Shadows as well, back to back. Maybe a little overextended in the end, but beautiful work.
Yeah, very nice. He actually gets a little bit unlucky there. 750, as I said, is the average there with the gun he's using. 3 of them just pouncing out there. 4th one comes across, you can do 3K. Actually goes for the reload, maybe a little bit early. He had another shell there, but he's kind of scared that maybe he's going to get taken down or whatever. But next map we're going to be seeing is Mines. Now, this is where we could see a bit of a swing back towards EL Gaming in terms of their overall style. Very aggressive through the middle. We saw just then Hellraiser's Na'Vi. Hellraiser's just being very effective in especially on the attack when they just push straight over the middle. Took out Na'Vi, no problems at all, and maybe EL will do the same.
Maybe. Do you believe, Ollie?
I'm a believer, so I do believe.
Wasn't talking about music taste, but I'm glad that we now know that. But having a look overall, you can see the performance there. And it wasn't really individuals doing the damage that stood out to me. It was more the overall NSS drastically stronger. Again, Guanren and Newman being the forefront. And if you are watching on the second stream, you've seen a crazed man getting in there and getting on camera. I believe one of the casters from last year around, a familiar face.
Yeah, I think it was, of course, one of the...
Sneak his way in. There's been a delivery of Iron Brew as well brought over. So they have tried to replenish the casters and keep them up to date.
Don't think we should be clogging Hector's veins with more Iron Brew. I mean,
don't
it's
think he
basically
needs
just Iron Brew.
He actually bathes in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was telling me this morning,
Iron Brew. It's got like Iron Brew scrub in there, hair gel,
the bubble bath
deodorant.
is lovely.
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure.
next level.
To be fair, that does actually sound pretty good.
It does.
It's got a good smell.
I'd probably use it as well, personally.
Probably.
But yeah, if you are wondering about the second stream, of course, do head over to, I believe it's on WGL NA.
Yep.
So you can check it out there as well. Don't close this stream because we're here and we are pretty much better. But they've got great personalities and that's what matters. So do head over.
And they got Iron Brew as well.
And they've got Iron Brew, so actually they're probably winning at the moment.
But it's Na'Vi 3-1 against Gold Bass right now. They just headed on, heading on to Cliff, so it's always going to be an interesting game. Of course, Na'Vi with one win over Hellraisers. Looking good for NSS as we go on to Mines.
If only Joe Miller was here to take us through the introduction of this map. I miss it on a daily basis, but we move on with our lives as we do get to see this one go down. And again, a map that can really supplement and give creative abilities towards aggressive teams. We saw actually quite an aggressive close on the first map through this with the pinch movement coming out in the first series throughout the grand finals already. Quite a couple of curious moves coming through from the teams here. So nice to see them keeping a couple of tricks up their sleeve that maybe have been used occasionally online, but this is where it matters. And we are actually pretty much underway here already. It's going to be EL Gaming on the attacking side, NSS on the defending side, and NSS could close out in this map, bearing in mind 3-1 thus far. But already, we see EL Gaming taking control of the central area.
I would say we're seeing a lot more considered NSS here. They are playing more logically, and they're not really going for the brawls. Perhaps scared that EL Gaming, if they just play to EL Gaming's normal style, it won't go well for them. But EL Gaming as well, with the artillery piece, doesn't lend itself to an aggressive start here. But Fox, nice, actually getting caught out right in the middle. He's going to go down.
There's no way you're staying alive here. 101 HP, he's a sitting duck. Ducks can't fly. How can he get away with this? NSS, please put this poor wounded duckling down.
Shotnik was actually on reload, so yeah, he has to get away with that one. Lucky, nice. But still, that's a huge blow there, straight away to EL Gaming, and NSS looking very poised to actually win this now.
NSS are playing sharper than a butcher's pencil at the moment. They are coming out with the absolute A-game here. Already catching out nice. Maybe a little bit of a slip-up individually from him too, let's bear in mind. But that's going to give a window of opportunity here. And again, NSS love those. They'll take those every day of the week. And maybe they can break back in towards that central area.
Yeah, NSS...
What? That was sick. Levanta, all right.
What happened? What happened there? He just got absolutely nailed. I think that's the second shot which just connected onto the back of the tank there from Levanta. What a beast.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Oh, that's game over. I mean, you can see the M40 versus the Lorraine. The M40 just like blows, melts faces, and the Lorraine just like picks at you a little bit. And saying that, like on Ghost Town, if EL just had like a M40, M43, they might have been able to one-shot something at least.
Again, though, this is insane from NSS. Just they found, well, they didn't find two chances. They were given one chance, which pretty much destroyed Nice and all of his hopes and dreams. That's now left in tatters. And then Guanren shattered again. He was out, caught out of place before.
He was just proxy spotted and taken down very quickly. Unbelievable stuff from them. And Reflection just trying to poke away here something on for NSS, but it's not really found that much. You can see the double 113 stack on the CD line. Maybe they're going to push up there. Actually, they found an STB down in H2. And, I'm not sure exactly why NSS aren't just pushing for an advantage. They have one, especially considering EL have the Lorraine in the background, so one less combat tank.
Maybe getting a couple of flashbacks to overextensions. I don't know, but as I said, the thing that I really liked seeing on maps like Ghost Town from them was the fact that they actually took what they had when they had advantage. They'd push for it, they'd play for it. And Fox, as much as we're watching this guy, he's not been having the biggest of games as Nuki's going mountain climbing. But
very, very good position here from Nuki, actually.
Yeah,
he can just poke over. He's behind that bush. Well, it's a fallen tree, a felled tree, so he's pretty safe there. Good stuff from them. Seems to me like NSS are slightly aware that this could be a push on the left side, but Nuki actually going roaming could be in a bit of a dangerous position if they do push along, but still, it's going to take a while for Nuki to go down. He's got support there from the Batchat and the 113. There's also a T110E5 that can come out to play for NSS as well in the base.
Depends how far he extends to here without being punished. He's going to get the spots coming out pretty darn soon. Nice is down to less than a one-shot here. Newman, Black, and Flag going to be joining over. But the point is that he's going to get information. He's going to have a little bit of a resting spot here. The STB1, of course, not going to be able to withstand all of this, but how much support can he get at this point? Already going to receive one big shell, make it another, as this is looking a bit dire for Nuki. He's actually got a good spot out, though. Managed to spot out all 4 of them, and still, Flag going to be managed to be picked up in the end. So this, let's kind of like take it through here. That's a lot of information gathered, but was it a worthwhile trade?
Yeah, I think it was a good trade there for EL Gaming, because, I mean, Nuki was just going forward, trying to find some angle. I thought he would go into G1. He goes a little bit aggressive, gets caught out by EL Gaming. Good timing from them. You do receive quite a lot of damage on the side, and you'll see Levanta and Shadows actually try and sync up here, where Levanta gets the shots onto the tanks that Shadows is holding in place down this left side, and Desney takes down Newman pretty easily, and you can see NSS starting to edge ahead in this match.
EL Gaming seem to have, they're going through the motions here as to what we should be doing, but they're losing tanks by the minute. And Black, are you okay, buddy? Just going to ignore the fact that Shadows is there. You're going to have to take this fight at some point. That Batchat going to go blow for blow down towards the southern side, as Black will be taking an absolute beating as Evil Granny's in the background in case he needs it, but he doesn't. Shadows comes up with the goods again, landing his shots. This event is now down to the last 3 players for EL Gaming. It's looking a little bit dire. Somehow Nice is still alive, joined by Reflection and Fox, but Evil Granny going to do some damage, back away, leave it to the rest of his team to finish off the job that he started.
Yeah, Reflection, I think, even got hit by Levanta there. Now, actually, the shot comes out then. 3 versus 6 for NSS, and Reflection the next target.
Yeah, and, well, he's going to be shattered pretty darn soon. 2 more shells for Shotnik, make it 1, and that's enough to do the work, leaving Fox one of the players standing, and I think he's going to be sitting there every single time, the last man alive, if they keep this artillery piece coming through into almost every game. But good work from him, at least, but it doesn't really mean much else.
No, and you know, it's this match maybe even as the kind of M40 versus the Rain battle. The Rain great at sustained damage, but like doesn't do any higher alpha than a tier 9 or a tier 10. You know, 400-500 damage maybe, and it's just not enough. Desnit takes down Fox. It's going to be 4-1 to NSS as they do head on to match point.
NSS looking strong, if I'm honest. We saw maybe some curious choices in that one, maybe a little bit of over-aggression, but then again, as you said, it's all about that trade-out. Information for damage dealt, how they can build off the back of it, and they did exactly just that. They lost out on Nuki pretty early on, but aside from him, they kept themselves well-rounded, well-formed, and absolutely decimated the boys from the APAC region of EL Gaming, who just looked a little bit worse for wear. It felt like they were just going through the motions because that's what they feel they should be doing, rather than that's right for the situation we're in. Yeah,
and you got to remember that, I mean, Levanta definitely the winner of the game. I think he cancelled out Nice, I think, pretty early. I think he actually hit him, tracked him, and then you saw the, I think, Shadows in the background with the TVP just nailed Nice in the top of that turret, and then he ran away. But then you saw a nice proxy spot onto the Batchat on the hill, and Levanta just has the perfect aim. Like, NSS knew he would be there, and he already had aimed, took him down, easy stuff, and that was pretty much game over. And that last shell from the TVP hitting the gun and doing no damage to Nice, getting pretty lucky there. But still, it's a crucial blow at the beginning of the match.
Yeah, losing, he's pretty much a tank done. It's pretty much over. As harsh as that sounds, as he is still in the game, to keep himself as relevant as to do so much work, it's almost impossible by that point. And then add insult to your injury, 10 seconds later, you lose another properly that time. So, of course, EL Gaming struggling on that front. But good composure from NSS here, not overextending too far to give maybe a chance for EL Gaming to punish them on it. However, EL Gaming, again, individually being just completely outshone by NSS here. I don't know if there's much more to say, as Shadow's 4K then.
Brilliant stuff from him, taking down that 130, no problem. Levanta, yeah, he did that one shot into the Batchat, 1.8k damage, not bad at all, 2.3k damage, sorry. And Desnit with the 113, and you know, 113 always consistently good on this map. It's fast enough to get into those positions you need it in, and also has some turret armor to play down with to play around with in the hull down positions. And yeah, I mean, basically since Prohorovka, we haven't seen EL Gaming really before.
No, EL Gaming's seemingly falling by the wayside, which is the thing I do remember about EL Gaming was the fact that they were actually quite good on Prohorovka in the last grand finals. That was the one where we saw quite a lot of surprises. We saw that aggression, that wolf pack, pack mentality, and it works almost on that map to a degree. You can roam pretty well there, but it doesn't seem to translate to the new game mode and Ghost Town as such, and here on Mind, classically, as maybe I'd expect, or they're just not finding their rhythm to be able to make it apply. And NSS, on the other hand, have that perfect balance of how to play this so far. I don't feel they've been pushed, if I'm honest. I'm going to be very clear about this one. I think this was the result that we kind of were considering. There was a chance that maybe Yale Gaming could have done more, but just hasn't been the case today.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't pushed them more. I thought 5-0 is, pretty big prediction there from the dead zone, but
Not far off.
Not far off at all. Somewhere in between the dead zone and Raven looks pretty likely right now, and they are pushing straight the middle. And maybe this is going to be EL Gaming just deciding to go aggressive for once.
This is the brawl we wanted to see. This is what I expected from EL Gaming. I want to see that damage finally coming through. A missed shot to kick things off with, make it 2 for that match.
Okay, they slowed down,
and now they stop. It was like I got all excited and then nothing.
Levanta actually just coming off reload. Let's see if EL Gaming get the timing right and don't receive a lot of damage. And Levanta shooting doesn't quite hit. Newman getting away with that
close. And again, they're not getting away scot-free. Look at Newman, he's being absolutely shredded. 1k damage received straight away. And after what seemed to be an abrupt halt from EL Gaming, this is looking dangerous. These guys are getting spotted. That rock is being their pretty much saving grace at this point, being almost defiled from that artillery fire coming over the top. And it looks like they're going to try and assemble their pieces and try and make a play from this, try and maybe catch NSS on the back foot and try and even the score. And they're doing just well at that. Dez going to be going low here. Another shell could do the job, and Newman's going to provide that reflection on the flank, trying to get in. But he's a little late to the party, and Shadow's holding firm. Nice. Gets picked up and dropped down in the end. And this is looking pretty dire for EL Gaming. They tried to take the momentum, try and take the fight, but it's fallen to pieces again.
They half committed to that situation. They should have just pushed all the way forwards and actually gone for it, because half committing, you'd lose the game anyway. You might as well go all the way in. Made it a good call because Shocknick was on the left side. So definitely a good one there from EL Gaming, but you can see NSS just had that focus.
Yeah, NSS knew what was up. They were almost ready and waiting, but can there be a resurgence here from EL Gaming at the very end? The HP is so drastically against them, though. You've got to be saying no here. Shotnick's going to add 1 now, adds 2 to the coffin, and now Flag and Reflection, the last 2 standing, just have to watch as this first game has fallen to pieces for them, as NSS looking dominant here, especially in this one.
Flag just the last man remaining here for EL Gaming. 408 HP, and NSS will have the first match under their belts and the 3 points, the first win in this group stage. Flag almost off reload though.
That's great. Ollie, I know you're optimistic here.
I mean, he could kill Evil Granny at least.
He could.
Oh no.
And he's not going to, and Shadow's going to try and help him out in the end, but NSS, with what looked like could be a close game, break